All right. Wow, my Bible. It's the Word. The Word is so potent. Well, it's great to be here. Let's start with a prayer. Actually, I need this for... In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. A reading from the Gospel of Luke. A lawyer stood up to put Jesus to the test, saying, "Teacher, what shall I do to inherit eternal life?" Jesus said to him, "What is written in the law?" He answered, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength, and your neighbor as yourself." And he said to him, "You have answered correctly. Do this and you will live." But the lawyer, desiring to justify himself, said to Jesus, "And who is my neighbor?" Jesus replied, "A man was going down from Jerusalem to Jericho, and he fell among robbers, who stripped him, beat him, and departed, leaving him half dead. Now by chance a priest was going down the road, and when he saw him, he passed by on the other side. So likewise a Levite, when he came to the place and saw him, he passed by on the other side. But a Samaritan, as he journeyed, came to where he was, and when he saw him, he had compassion. He went to him and bound up his wounds, pouring oil and wine. Then he set him on his own animal and brought him to an inn and took care of him." Amen. It's beautiful. I really, no pun intended, love the retreat theme. Love. It's, yeah. It's such a mystery, I think. As Father Carlos was saying this morning in his homily, like, we thirst for it so much. It's like we're just desperate for it. Yet at the same time, I think it's interesting because we're also like a little bit afraid of it. We keep it at arm's length, and thus it's mysterious, right? We thirst for it. We're afraid of it. Tonight, I just wanted to try to scratch the surface a little bit into this mystery, see what Jesus can teach us, particularly as we approach like love of each other, right? Love of neighbor, which is the topic of this talk. Sorry, I think Father Carlos is giving me his. Okay, so we just opened in prayer with the Good Samaritan. I'm all right, thanks. It's a really beautiful passage. I think everybody's probably heard it a million times. You can kind of get bored sometimes with. But when I was like praying with it, getting ready for this talk, there was something that really caught my attention, and it wasn't what usually catches my attention. Usually when I read the Good Samaritan, I tend to like compare, like, okay, well, what did the priest do? What did the lawyer do? And what did the Good Samaritan do, right? And you compare and contrast. But as I was praying with it, I guess a week or two ago, when I was preparing for this, what caught my attention wasn't so much what they did, but what was happening in their interior. So I'm gonna read it again, and if you can maybe imagine not so much of like what's going on, but what's going on in their hearts. Right? So this guy's left beaten, half dead on the road. And then, where is it at? Now by chance, a priest, right? A priest, important, holy man. A priest was going down the road, and when he saw him, he passed by on the other side. So likewise a Levite, when he came to the place and saw him, he passed by on the other side. But a Samaritan, as he journeyed, came to where he was, and when he saw him, he had compassion and went to him. He had compassion. It's beautiful. I think when we think about love, love's talked about a lot in our culture and in the church. I think we sometimes we have like these two poles, right? Our culture tends to approach love as maybe a passion, a feeling, right? But as Christians, we tend to separate ourselves a little bit from that idea of love. And we say like, well, no, love isn't just a passion. It's not just a feeling, which is true. But sometimes I think and maybe we go a little bit too far in that. And maybe it's not just a passion, but I think Jesus is teaching us in this passage that it is or does very much involve a compassion. In fact, I had some fun and I looked up the word and the word that it's used for this Samaritan when he sees it, it means, what is it? Splagizomai is what, yeah. But what it means is more important. It means to be moved as to one's bowels, right? Like he saw him and his guts churned. Like that's what happened in his heart. You compare that to the priest and the Levite who walked by on the other side. I think often we have this idea of God's love as kind of stoic, right? This idea that, okay, he's out there, and then the Christian love is, to will the good of the other. But we forget, like, right? Jesus, I love this. Camila did amazing. Like this is God's heart, right? The compassionate heart, the one that's moved to the point where it's compelled to draw close to us, to draw close to the man who was suffering. There's this book that I really like. I was talking about it at lunch or during the break, and he's a Cistercian abbot, the guy who wrote it. One of the most wise people I've ever seen, and he talks about this love of neighbor, and he says something that I think is fascinating. He says that it is a distortion when love is twisted as simply active service. And he takes it a step further. He says, to love, it is essential that I first be inwardly wounded by the other. That I feel that splagnisomai, that fellow said, that churning in my gut. And then he went a little further and he said, one of the forgotten elements of love is to recognize that to love is to truly and critically need the one who I love. Right? Okay, so to love, one needs to be wounded and feel the need of the one who I am loving. Okay, so that's fascinating, but I do think it might be a little bit hard to understand. So to make it a little concrete and to make Thibaut a little jealous here, I printed something out, a picture. I want to introduce you guys. A lot of you probably have seen it. Naomi. She is my niece, the cutest of all nieces in the world. She you could say, I could say, she has wounded my heart. She's a year old. I've only seen her probably 3 times, I think. But I can't live without this little girl. I can't imagine my life without her. The smile that she gives me is it's unbelievable. And when I'm here, I love being with you guys, but when I'm here, I feel a pain. When I'm not with her, I feel a pain in my heart because she's wounded me. I need her. I feel that need. We just watched a movie about C.S. Lewis, and I assume they stole this from him, but it's one of the most profound lines that I've ever heard in cinema that I imagine C.S. Lewis said. He says, this type of pain, the pain that we feel from the separation of love, the pain that I feel now for her is part of the love then when I'm with her, right? Or the love that I will feel when I'm with her. All right, so I think that's the first thing that I wanted to point out. To truly love, as this Cistercian habit says, we need to feel this necessity, this woundedness. So it's to ask yourself, like, where's my heart? Do I allow my heart to be touched, to be moved by the compassion of the drama of my neighbor, by the smile of a child? Do I allow my heart to be touched? All right. Okay, so beautiful. However, our experience of this love isn't always like so amazing, right? To love is really difficult. And I think we all experience that. So then the question that I want to explore a little bit is why. And I would say the first reason why is because it is difficult to be vulnerable, right? If I give somebody my heart, somebody that I love, they might mistreat it, they might abuse it, could be on accident, could be on purpose. Even if you think about, like, you know, if you guys have ever, especially guys, I don't know, like, asked somebody out before, like the first time you ask somebody out, the experience of fear is very real. But why? Why are we so afraid? Because the good that we go after is so desirable that it's almost unbearable to think about being rejected, right? Like, that's how powerful love is. So yeah, sometimes we run away from love because to give of your heart is a scary thing. It's dangerous. Another reason that it can be hard to love is simply because people are hard to love often. We are all probably part of that. And I would put it into two categories. I would say the first category I would say is like the bear type of people. So you guys have probably all remember our beloved, recently deceased dog, Bear. Awesome dog, everybody loved him, the mascot of the Newman Center. But not everybody had to live with Bear. And for the first 2 years until Father Carlos got him, for me, Bear was very hard to live with. He would crap all over the place. We literally had to lock him in the kitchen every time we left because we just knew he was gonna pee all over the place. So then Father Carlos got him and he turned into an amazing dog. But I use it more as an analogy for, I think we all have friends that we know that are difficult to love. Just like, the friend that talks about stuff that annoys you, just like, I don't like that stuff. I don't like talking about that stuff. Or, I don't know, the family member that's like very emotionally draining and you don't feel like aren't built up by that person. Or simply the roommate that never does the dishes, right? And we're all there, we're all difficult to love. But something that I do think is really beautiful, and I imagine you also experience this, is like those people for us that are like the difficult people, my annoying friend, whatever. If we allow our hearts to be touched by them, by their drama, their life, to really get to know them, like that annoying friend becomes my annoying friend. And yeah, maybe I can make fun of my weird friend, but nobody else can make fun of my weird friend, right? He's my weird friend. And it was really beautiful because and part of the reason I wanted to bring this up, I saw this at the Brothers with Bear. I don't know, Father Carlos probably doesn't know this, but recently after he died, I was with one of the brothers, maybe one that you might not think of, and we were talking, and he was like, man, I miss Bear. And I was like, yeah, man, me too. Bear sometimes is hard to love, but he was our dog, I mean, it's mostly Father Carl's dog, but he's my dog too, So that's one. Another set or reason or set of people that are hard to love, it's a little bit more difficult. Now, I would just categorize it as our enemies. People who we have loved that would betrayed us. Family members that have harmed us on purpose. Even, I don't know, like we're in a very divided country. You could think of, like my political rivals. Like there's people that we tend to like have very negative feelings towards, right? People that maybe we could even consider our enemies. And sin has penetrated this world in such a deep and mysterious way that like some of the stuff that happens in this world and maybe could happen to us, maybe has happened to you guys, it's almost unthinkable. Have you guys ever heard of the West Roads Mall shooting? I don't know if that's probably not very common. So it's a shooting that happened in Nebraska. So it was very close to my heart. That's where I'm from Nebraska, if you don't know. And it happened when I was like in college age, and it shook our beautiful state. It happened at a mall called the West Roads Mall. My grandma and aunt were there like the day before or hours before, I don't even remember. But this guy just went in, he just like started massacring people. And he was like, we just hated him. I remember like it came out with all the faces of the people that he killed. It was so sad. It's so terrible. Yet, Jesus calls us to even love our enemies, right? Love your enemies. Pray for those who persecute you. But how do we do that? Like how is it possible to love like this? All the people that, we have difficulties with, the people that might be our enemies, like how do we do it? Okay, so I wanted to give just like a few things that I think maybe like tips that could help or enter into or maybe inspire this love. Okay, the first tip is to understand that this type of love is not possible for us. To get a little more nerdy with this splagizomai word from the Good Samaritan, this compassion, right? This gut churning. I thought it caught my attention, so I wanted to look it up. So I looked up all the times that this word was used in the Gospels, and like a pattern started to form. It wasn't used too many times, maybe like around 10 times. And a pattern started to form, and it kept up for the whole entire Gospels. And as far as I know, the whole New Testament. And the pattern was, this splagizomai word, this compassion, was only ever used to describe the love of Jesus Christ. Or when Jesus was trying to teach us how to love. Which really caught my attention and really drove home the point that this charity, this agape that we're being called to live, like we're not capable of living it on our own. It's only through grace. We can only live this through grace. And it really made my, it really, I don't know, made me think, caught my whatever, of the passage in Ezekiel where God told him that, yes, I'm going to take from you your stony heart and I will give you a heart of flesh, right? So remember, like God is not the stoic lover. We are the stoic lover. But he's saying, I'm going to take from you your stoic heart and give you a heart that's open to be touched, to have compassion for other people. But it's something we have to pray for because it's a grace that we're giving. It's not something that I think can come natural to us. We can naturally love Naomi maybe, but to love those who annoy us, to love those who are our enemies, I think that's the love of Christ, right? Okay, the second one. The second one is to try to let your heart be touched by our shared brokenness. To recognize like we are all broken. Maybe it was like a few days a week after this like West Roads Mall shooting that happened in Nebraska. mean, everybody was, still talking about it, but an article came out in the newspaper, and I happened to come across it. I don't know why. I didn't usually read the newspaper. But it was an article about Robert Hawkins, the murder of these people in the Westards Mall shooting. And I started to read it, and it's just like something really drew me in as I was reading it. And I think the detail that caught my attention, that really drew me into the article, was that he and I were the same age. And I was like, oh shoot, wow, like, interesting. And so I kept reading, and what I found out, like, really affected me. So this guy who was my age, so I don't even know, 18, no, probably like 20. So his parents were divorced at a young age when he was 3, and then they both got divorced again. He didn't know where his mother was. He was a ward of the state, so his parents didn't take care of him. He got kicked out of his family's house, and the state would take care of him. However the state takes care, I don't even know. He had recently moved in with another foster family, and the mother said that he felt mistreated, rejected by everyone. She described him as, quote, kind of like a pound puppy that nobody wanted. She said, when he first came and lived with us, he was in the fetal position and chewed his fingernails all the time, was unemployed and hopeless. And then they did something that really, just really made my heart ache. They published in his own handwriting the last note that he wrote to his family. And I'm going to read it to you. It says, family, I'm so sorry for what I've put you through. I never meant to hurt you. I never meant to hurt all of you so much, and I don't blame any one of you for disowning me. I just can't be a burden to you and my friends any longer. You are better off without me. I can't take this meaningless existence anymore. I've been a constant disappointment, and that trend would only have continued. Just remember the good times we had together. I love you, Mommy. I love you, Dad. So I read that, and I was so moved. Like, this was the man that I hated, right? Like, this is the man that we all hated. But I was just so touched because, like, yeah, he was a murderer. This man did unthinkable things. But he was also a man, really like a boy. A murderer, yeah. And a murderer of my people even, right? But he was also part of my people. He was a Nebraskan. And then the second thing that I just like, I couldn't get out of my head is like, what made me different than this Robert guy? Like, if I were in his shoes, like, what would I have done if I was so rejected by society, kicked out by my own family, a constant disappointment? I mean, I don't think I would have murdered anybody, but in a way, like, I'm so happy I don't have to figure that out. We never know what anybody's going through, right? The drama of people's life, how they've been treated in the past, how broken their heart is. But we do know that we share this brokenness, that we are of the same flesh. In a way, like there's a unity of humanity that, like, we way too often forget. And then finally, okay, the third thing, and maybe the most important thing, the Lord is not scandalized by this brokenness. He's not scandalized by your brokenness. He's not scandalized the brokenness of your neighbor, nor of your enemy. In fact, it is nuts. Like, he, not only is he scandalized, but he decided to become one of us. Knowing that he was going to share us his heart, and what were we going to do with his heart? Like, this is beautiful, but nobody wants this, right? Nobody like that. Nobody wants barbed wires around their heart. But why? Why does he love us so much? Well, he's let himself be wounded by us, right? He looks at our smiles. He looks at the smile of this incredible girl, right? He's like, I need that. I love these people. I love humanity. There's something about us that, well, I think we recently watched the Lord of the Rings in the community, and I love Lord of the Rings. And there's this line that always touches me, like really profound. It's pretty short, but for those of you who don't know, like Lord of the Rings, a bunch of hobbit dudes like run around trying to save the world, but their mission is impossible. And they know that they're probably going to die. And so there's two guys, Frodo and Sam, they're talking like, man, like, what are we even doing this for? Frodo's asking. And then Sam goes on this really beautiful spiel about why, but the thing that he says that most catches my attention is really short, but I really love it. He's like, yeah, okay, why do we do this? So Sam says, we do this because there's some good in this world, Mr. Frodo, and it's worth fighting for. There's good in the heart of every human being, and that good is always worth fighting for. No matter what, till the end. Jesus, he's willing to die for the people that were literally murdering him in that moment. There's good in every human heart. And just to kind of start closing, when I was praying for this, there was another passage that really caught my attention, and it's the passage that says that Jesus says that there's no greater love than to lay down one's life for one's friend. Obviously, we see that on the cross, but I don't know. I was thinking about that, and I'm like, is that true? Like, actually, I think there's a greater love. Like, I mean, Jesus himself, like, he didn't lay down his life for his friends. Like, he laid down his life for his enemies. He actually told us to love our enemies. Like, that to me seems like a greater love. But then, like, as I was thinking about it, praying with it, it clicked. I was like, shoot, man, like, because for Jesus, there are no enemies. There are only friends. They're only brothers. The ones who they were his brothers. They were his friends. So the last thing, I'll close with this. It's another one of my favorite books. It's a beautiful passage about that. How, like, there are no others, right? The Good Samaritan sees this guy. He's not an other. The Good Samaritan's Jesus, right? And theologians say, and Jesus goes to him. There's no others. This is a book that basically just takes the church fathers and writes a whole bunch of beautiful things about it. But I just wanted to leave you with this. I think it's really beautiful. He says that no one of our brethren, our brothers and sisters, even should he desire it, can separate himself from us. And in the meanest miser, in the heart of the prostitute, or the most squalid drunkard, there is an immortal soul with holy aspirations, which deprived of daylight, worship in the night. I hear them speaking when we speak, and weeping when I fall upon my knees. I accept them all. I take and understand them all. There is not one of them I do not need, not one that I can do without. There are many living beings, yet we see scarcely any give forth their light, while the rest are whirled around in the dark chaos which contains them. There are many souls, but there is not one of them with whom I am not in communion, in this sacred apex where at others it's pater noster, it's our Father. Yeah, beautiful. All right, thank you guys.